the Indian pharmaceutical industry, which is indeed a bright spot in the Indian economy, and we have been the pharmacy of the world. And this became very, very clear, and everyone got to know about India's prowess in the medical sector, in the pharmaceutical sector, especially during COVID-19, when we were a big supplier of vaccines across the world. But the activity is just starting. If the turnover of the pharmaceutical sector was around $40 billion in 2021, sir, we're looking at a roadmap where we would want to increase it to $130 billion by 2030 and maybe $450 billion by 2047. That is the larger target, and why shouldn't we reach there as soon as possible? But let me straight away go across to Mr. Chawla, our pharmaceutical secretary. And sir, we believe there has been a lot of activity in the last few days in the pharmaceutical space, especially as a result of the PLI. Are you expecting some announcements in the next few days on new Greenfield projects?
Yes, announcement and a big one. We are going to, the Honorable Minister is going to inaugurate 40 Greenfield plants manufacturing bulk drugs and medical devices. A lot of hard work has gone into it. The initial skepticism is being proved wrong. The PLI is changing the Indian landscape in a big way. And you will see it on Saturday when the Honorable Minister inaugurates 40 big greenfield plants manufacturing bulk drugs and medical devices that were hitherto entirely imported in the country.
So that's a big announcement, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause for the Pharma Secretary. So that is indeed an achievement for the government. I'd also like to ask you, what are some of the companies who will be involved in this exercise? Could you give us some of the big names? What is the total investment that you're expecting to draw as a result of this exercise?
All the big companies that you think of, the good news is that both Indian and multinational companies are part of this scheme, part of this program. And Indian companies include all the big ones, which manufacture drugs and formulations. They are now deepening the value chain. They're now entering into a bulk drug production. Something, you know, we had lost to some other countries and were importing for a long time. And we realized it soon enough. And 5 years hard work has brought us here. Similarly, medical device, as you know, is a complex industry where all sciences converge and where technical innovation is very fast. The product cycle is 3 years, 5 years, as compared to drugs, which is 20 to 30 years. And all these big devices, the one that you see in every hospital, CT scans, MRI machines, C-arms, X-rays, cath labs, dialyzers, critical care equipment, anesthesia stations, all that you see in the hospitals which were earlier imported are now going to be manufactured in India. And as many as 150 commonly used hospital medical devices, which each one of us has been to once at more times in life, they will now be manufactured in India. And some of them you will see on Saturday being inaugurated.
All right, that is indeed heartening to know. We'd also like to ask you about FDI inflows, sir. If we look at FY23, the FDI inflows into pharma sector were over $2 billion. What are the kind of numbers you expect in FY24? The reason why I ask you this is because overall we've seen a decline in FDI into India in the last fiscal, over the last 8 to 10 months. This is not just true of India, but it's been true of this region as well. What is the kind of uptick or trend that you expect in the FDI in the pharma sector especially?
See, one stylized fact about investment is that it tends to be lumpy. And it is driven by certain factors. Sometimes it is driven by big merger and acquisitions. And therefore, by its very nature, the series tends to be a bit more volatile. But I would see the long-term trend. And the good news is that in the pharma and the meditech sector, the FDI is rising. And it is rising with confidence in our industry, with confidence and reforms in our regulatory framework, and with active participation in the PLI scheme. So we expect that 2 billion that happened last year will be sustained in the pharma and medtech sector this year as well.
All right, so you expect a sustained uptick in growth over the next few years. Now, when it comes to promoting manufacturing in the pharma sector, in the medical devices sector, any key focus areas for the government in future? You told us about 40 new Greenfield plants that will be announced this Saturday, but future focus areas of manufacturing, could you list that out for our viewers?
Yes. So to develop, medical devices is a sunrise industry. And we have identified certain verticals which were import dependent. And this includes imaging devices, the X-rays, the CT scans, the MRIs that we talked about. It includes cancer therapy equipment, which is a rising non-communicable disease problem in India. And given the patient load, a lot of these machines like rotational cobalt machines, linear accelerators, they were all earlier imported. And you will see that on Saturday, some of these manufacturing plants manufacturing this sophisticated equipment will also be inaugurated, and they will start making in India. In addition to that, there are critical care equipment which are part of every ICU. There are anesthesia equipment which are part of every operation theater. There are cardiorespiratory equipment. There is a huge number of kidney patients needing dialysis machines and their solvents, their consumables, their disposables. And then, of course, the body implants. Few years ago, we never manufactured these implants. They were entirely imported from abroad. But the good news is that now the commonly used implants are made in India, and the multinational companies also are beginning to gradually set up investments here and start making these body implants in India. The area of diagnostics, which is a very fast-growing sector, is also a very important part of our Make in India push.
Right. So we'd like to ask you about the opportunity for the manufacturing industry for the future. What is the kind of growth you're expecting just in about 5 years? There are a lot of startups here in our audience who would like to know what are some of the areas that the government would encourage their participation in.
Thanks. As you rightly mentioned, our pharmaceutical industry was about 50 to 60 billion last year. Our medical device sector was about 10 to 11 billion the last time, the year ago that we gathered the data. Going forward into 2030, we expect double-digit growth in both the sectors, which means the pharma industry would be somewhere around 130 to 150 billion, and the medical device industry would be somewhere around 50 billion. Going forward, sky is the limit. 500 billion is the number you mentioned in Amrit Kal, which is 2047. We are on track. We are making the policy reforms, the policy nudge that is needed, consisting of a package which will have preferential market access, which will have phased manufacturing program, which will have simplification of procedures, which will have convergence of regulatory approval processes, and so on and so forth. Our emphasis would be on quality and innovation. And for both, we are making a dedicated push. As you know, in December, at the end of December, a revised Schedule M was promulgated in the country by the regulator. And that is almost the same, very, very close to the WHO Good Manufacturing Practices standards. And in the next 6 months to 1 year, most of the plants in India, all plants in India will have to upgrade quality. About 50% of plants already have GMP certifications. The remaining will have to do the same. And we will also be hand-holding them and assisting them through one of our schemes so that they can come up to speed. And a new scheme was announced 2-3 months ago, which was called the PRIP, that is Pharma Research and Innovation Program. That is in the works, and under that, we are looking for industry champions. And if I might use the expression, not a shark tank, but a dolphin tank, where we play together, we swim together, and we are looking for setting up a premier consultancy unit to aid and assist that scheme. And we will invite offers from the entire industry, smart startups, including multinationals who are now setting up their R&D centers in India. And I must specifically mention that IIM Ahmedabad, in collaboration with Pfizer, has recently launched an innovation initiative for the startups where the CSR money can now be directed to assisting startups to innovate and become big.
Wonderful to hear that, sir. I would also like to ask you about quality. You laid a lot of emphasis on quality and innovation for the future. We had the DPIIT secretary a few hours back, right here on this stage, and he said that we will move very aggressively with QCOs in future. We want to focus on quality. Same for the pharma sector, we expect?
Absolutely, even better. We already have 600 plus manufacturing plants which are US FDA certified. India has the largest number of US FDA certified plants anywhere on the planet Earth. We have 2,500 plants certified with WHO GMP standards. They are our champions. They are export competitive, and without them, people on the planet would not get medicines. And that is why India is called the pharmacy of the world.
When it comes to the competition from China, we've been doing a lot to reduce our dependence on China across sectors. When it comes to the pharma sector, to what extent have you been able to reduce reliance on Chinese imports, emerge as an alternative to China? And is there a target that you're working with to probably achieve a certain amount of capacity, certain amount of expertise, so that we can reduce reliance on China even further?
Yes,